Hi, my name is Rachel, and I write as Rachel Devonish Ford and also as Ray Walsh. I'm the author of 17 books, and I have a new one for you. It's about to come out. It's going to be my 18th book. It's been 4 years since the last time I published a book in this series, and it's time. So I want to tell you about the books in my Ray Walsh series. They are about a little town called Aveline. It's a fictional town set in California, and it is filled with goodness. It is filled with good people, wonderful vistas, great food and art and music, and the characters are interesting, quirky, relatable, and they're from many different places and many different walks of life. In the first book, which is this one, The Lost Art of Reverie, we meet Katie and Sam, and we follow Katie's journey of inheriting her grandmother's house. In the second book, we meet Teresa, a ceramics genius, and we fall a little bit more in love with Sheldon, the grocer that we meet in book 1. And in the third book, we meet Ani, and we meet Daniel. We've already met Daniel, but we meet Ani more thoroughly. So all of the books center around a little church which is pastored by the Salvadorian Reverend Francisco. He's a Salvadorian immigrant to the country, and he has a really big heart, and he hopes to make a space of refuge for those in need. So in this book, we meet Ani, and she's the woman who will help the 4 Venezuelan families settle into Aveline. They are refugee families, and they all have different stories, and so we meet one of those families a little bit more fully in book 3. So they have different families around Aveline who are sponsoring them. And that brings us to book 4. And I don't yet have the book in my hands, but it is called The Hope of Becoming. And it follows the story of the refugee families, and it picks up 3 years after the lockdowns of the pandemic, when Zoe is called back to her nemesis, Lewis's farm. So we have met Zoe from the first book, but she's never been a main character before. And we've met Lewis as well, but he's also never been a main character. And Lewis has sponsored one of the families, and Juliana, who is in his family, is having a lot of trouble during the pandemic. So the book flashes back and forth between the pandemic and this time 3 years after, when Zoe is called back because Juliana is experiencing a recurrence of PTSD from her life in Venezuela, from the things that she's fled in Venezuela. I am not unaware of the irony of releasing this book right now. I started this series in 2018. I think I started writing it in 2017 or 2016, and I felt like I needed a bit of a bread and butter series. I have a young adult fantasy series, which is quite niche in many ways. Everything I write is, sort of very tailored to the way my life is. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to write romance. I'm going to write sweet romance as a series that will be, just like something that will be a good living. But then my small town became populated by all the kinds of people that I have encountered in my life. I live an international life, and I have a lot of friends from around the world, and I have experienced life among refugees. And so when I published book 3 in 2021, it would have had to be in some kind of alternate world, because at that point the borders were closed to refugees. And now again, as I get ready to publish this 4th book, it feels again like an alternate world. But I came across a quote by Walter Brueggemann. The thing is that all of these things that are being challenged right now, the status of refugees and stuff, have already been won, as my friend Rosa said, who is Venezuelan. She says that these rights have already been won, so it's really hard for them to be challenged again. But I came across this quote by Walter Brueggemann, and it reinforces the need for these kinds of imaginative worlds, for stories that we write that describe the world we want to live in. The imagination must come before the implementation. Thus, every totalitarian regime is frightened of the artist. It is the vocation of the prophet to keep alive the ministry of imagination, to keep on conjuring and proposing futures alternative to the single one the king wants to urge as the only thinkable one. The idea of the prophetic imagination. And that's, maybe that feels grandiose for just a little book series, but I guess I just wanted to explain a little bit about why I'm publishing it right now and how I think it can affect good things in us, that it will keep these ideas alive. So because it is like a strange, and I know people who are doing this work around the world, and so I hope to highlight more of this work. The alternate world is what Jesus brought to us, a place he called the kingdom of God. And our imaginations need to be filled with these possibilities, or we will despair, or worse, become complicit with the oppressive systems of this world. I know so many people who are still living in this place of abundant imagination in real life, working with refugee families. So yeah, this is happening. So go look at my rewards. You can buy all of these books in my rewards. You can basically think about it as a shop for all my books. They are all there. You can buy them in many formats. You can either buy them, they're all available as ebooks. Some are available as paperbacks or even hardcovers. Yeah, there's lots of great rewards, and I'm excited to launch it into the world. It's called The Hope of Becoming, and it centers on the story of Zoe and Lewis, who are not fond of each other and get thrown together not once but twice. So, yeah. Yes, it is a pandemic romance, which I couldn't help writing one. So I hope that you like it. I hope that you enjoy this book and all of these books, and that you can join and jump in and become a part of this project. Thank you.